What's up? Welcome in. Hoge and Jahns with you for our last preview show of the 2023-24 season. It is Packer week. Bears headed to Lambeau. What's up, Johnsy?
What's going on? I'm looking forward to it. Meaningful game. I'm going to lunch with some old friends up there, some college buddies. It's going to be a good trip. Hopefully for the Bears. Adam Jahns will be fun. Fun. Having fun.
Long-time St. Norbert guy you are.
Long time.
True. Yeah.
College was a long time ago for Adam Jahns. It's like a different Adam Jahns.
Yes, that was both of us went to school in Wisconsin. So maybe we're secret agents or something like that.
Double agents.
Maybe. I don't think so though. And we know what Bob Dabrowski would say about all this.
The Packers, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, go Bears.
Yes. So Bob will be on fire. I don't know if we heard from. Bob was.
We might have to send out a wellness check for Bob.
Yeah. All right. Got a lot on the plate today. Matt Schneidman, as he usually does, Packer Week will be jumping on. He covers the Packers for The Athletic. You can follow us at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns, at Hoge and Jahns on Twitter, and also find our merch at hogeandjahns.com. A new Packer-related shirt went up yesterday that you're going to want to check out at hogeandjahns.com. Off the comments that Justin Fields made yesterday.
Joe Johnson from Obvious Shirts is quick.
Yeah, he turned that around real fast.
I was leaving Hallis Hall, the old Apple Watch. I'm like, whoa, look at this.
Yeah. I was actually in the process of listening to the Justin Fields press conference when I got that text because I was a little delayed listening to it. And yeah, so if you missed it, it didn't even sound malicious. It's just factual. But Justin Fields said there's not a lot to do in Green Bay, but watch football. So he knows the crowd will be into it. Why would they not? This is a playoff game for the Green Bay Packers. They got to win to get in. Otherwise, their season's over. And, it should be an awesome atmosphere. And if any Bears fans are going up, good for you. I'm jealous because should be a lot of fun to be in those stands, as cold as it might be on Sunday at Lambeau Field. In the meantime, though, before we get into this game, some news last night, the Pro Bowl announcement for whatever it's still worth. The Pro Bowl, I mean, it still matters in terms of recognition and honestly with some contract escalators as well, something the NFLPA agreed to for some reason. But the Bears do get two Pro Bowlers, Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, very, very deserving. And in terms of some snubs, you can certainly make arguments for guys like DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Jaquan Brisker, even Tevin Jenkins. I saw tweeted his disappointment that he didn't get in. Am I missing anybody else? Cairo Santos would be another one too. So we'll see. There's always reserves, and obviously this thing's turned into like a flag football game for the most part.
It's not so much the game; it's the honor and recognition.
It's just the honor, yeah.
Like it's still meaningful to these players. Did you see DJ Moore's tweet from last night?
Yeah.
Kent, you got a picture of this? If you're watching on YouTube, check this out. I'm sure you saw it.
The Joker
The
gift.
Joker.
Yeah. So how many touchdowns will DJ Moore have on Sunday? 6?
6
touchdowns?
Yeah. So the Bears don't announce their alternate list. I think the Eagles are one of the few teams that do. I would imagine DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, they would probably be the two leading candidates for alternate spots. And players drop out. So I would expect more than 2 Bears to be going to Orlando. I just think it's great that there's that we're talking about Pro Bowl caliber players. That in itself is more meaningful than the players love the recognition. If you saw Jalen Johnson's and Montez Sweat's reactions to their first Pro Bowl honors, the surprise video that the Bears put together with Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles, that's cool. I mean, did you see the embrace between Ryan Poles and Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, I tweeted out. I thought that was cool to see. I mean, and it seemed genuine too, so a sign that, what both sides have said, that this stuff, you don't let get personal. It doesn't appear that it has. I mean, that seemed like a genuine embrace between the two of them.
Yeah. He wants to be here. Jalen Johnson has said that multiple times. But again, to my point, I just think it's a good sign for the Bears that we're not like talking ourselves into potential Pro Bowl candidates. There's actual numbers and production that back up cases. And it's been a long time, a few years since we could actually say that about this team.
Yeah. And just so people know, they don't even play a game anymore. They call them the Pro Bowl games, and it consists of, some skills competitions and I think a 7-on-7 flag football game.
Yeah, but that's besides the point. Again, it's all about.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people know that it's not like they've completely gotten rid of the game, and rightfully so. They moved it to Orlando this year after a couple of years in Vegas, which I find interesting because the Super Bowl's in Vegas this year. Like, to have that the Sunday before the Super Bowl in Vegas also, I think would have made a lot of sense. A lot of people are already there anyway.
Yeah,
but
could have been a full week.
They'll be in Orlando. So, but yes, the headline there is it's the fact that the Bears have so many players in contention. Is just it's been a while since that, and a lot of these guys are deservingly, considered snubs. And meanwhile, which team didn't get a Pro Bowler? The Bears' opponent this week.
The Green Bay Packers.
The Green Bay Packers. So on that note, I think we should bring Matt Schneidman in to talk about this crappy football team that doesn't have any Pro Bowlers. No, just kidding. Matt Schneidman, of course, longtime friend of the show, does great work covering the Packers for The Athletic, and now has a new radio show that you can listen to in Milwaukee and across the state of Wisconsin on The Game every night from 6 to 7. So you want to check that out as well. Let's bring in Matt Schneidman right now. All right, let's bring in Matt, who, it feels like a while since we've talked to you, buddy. It's been
we won.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and I think the Bears are hoping that was a really long time ago, considering how they played in that game. No pressure here, but I just want you to know up front that I know where I'm leaning in this game, but I feel like everything you say here in the next 10 to 15 minutes can greatly impact my final prediction, because the only thing I don't know is like how, I don't know, whatever the vibe is, what's going on with this Packer team right now. So we'll just start with this. What's your level of confidence with this team that seems to, they've had some really good wins, then they take a step back. Now they seem to be back in the flow. What's your level of confidence that they're going to show up and have a good game this week? What is essentially a playoff game for them?
Yeah, I'd like to preface this by saying I've been largely wrong on my game predictions this year. I think during their 3-game winning streak against the Chargers, Lions, and Chiefs, I predicted them to lose all those games. Then I predicted them to beat the Giants. I think I got the Buccaneers loss right, the Panthers win right, and then the Vikings win right. So I'm on a 3-game winning streak. But I don't see how they can't come out and play well. They didn't play terribly against the Lions last year in that Week 18 win and in game after they went from 4-8 to 8-8. But there were still, it was still really sluggish. The offense is clicking on all cylinders right now. The defense is coming off a really good performance against the Vikings, although I still don't trust that defense as far as I can throw it. Special teams is a problem right now. So, I wrote last week, this could be a situation where Jordan Love has to will this team to victory in spite of the other two phases, which ironically is what Aaron Rodgers had to do so many times. So I'm confident the Packers will, come out and put on a good performance. I think the Packers win, but in my 5 years covering the team now, this might be the least confident I am in a Packers team going into a game against the Bears.
How much? Hold on. Back up. Hold on. Time out. What did you just say?
I'm not saying just because of the Packers, but it's more so because of the Bears. Like with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, it was like, all right, don't even need to, mark this game down. Packers are going to win. First game of the season this year, I just didn't know what to expect. There was more of an unknown. Now it's okay. The Packers defense is not playing well, with the exception of last week. Even though the offense is really, shouldering the burden, it's more so the Bears have been playing really well. And people inside the Packers locker room know that. You know, Kenny Clark said after the game, this is a good Bears team right now. Matt LaFleur said the Bears are the most improved team in the NFL since week 1 in his eyes. You know, Jaden Reed said yesterday, we're not going to disrespect anybody that comes in here. So the Packers know what they have at stake. I said 27-21 on my show yesterday, but I could very well be wrong. I would not be stunned if the Bears win on Sunday.
That's some new sense of optimism, I guess, from a Chicago point of view.
I got to make friends with Bears fans because I did maybe a tiny bit of trolling on Sunday night when I tweeted out that it was in like the middle of the third quarter, when Jordan Love passed whatever single season passing yards record I think it's Kramer has for the Bears. Jordan Love passed that and now has more passing yards and touchdown passes than any Bears quarterback in team history. And I tweeted that out kind of just as a little bit of bait, and Bears fans are not happy with me, so I got to get some of them back on my side.
Well, the stats don't lie sometimes, you know. That, you know, share that as much as you want. Before we talk about Jordan Love, like, how much is what happened last year maybe coming up? Like, is it a big storyline? Like, are you guys, the media, bringing it up? Like, how much pressure does that put on Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, like, knowing that collapse happened last year?
Yeah, you know, it's come up, but I don't know how much the team is using it as motivation, not only because there are a handful of guys who either weren't here or weren't on the field last year taking part in it. Jordan Love obviously didn't play in that game. You know, guys like Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave and Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks didn't play in that game. They weren't in the NFL yet. And then on defense, guys like, you know, Carrington Valentine, who's probably going to start for them at corner. Jonathan Owens wasn't on the team last year. But then there are still a handful of guys who felt that. Even Jordan Love was talking about yesterday, or he said this after the game on Sunday night, I think, how he remembers feeling kind of sick walking off the field, even though he didn't play, just because the Packers had come so far in the last month only to not make the playoffs, get knocked out on their home field by a division rival. Aaron Jones was definitive in saying, I remember how it felt last year. We're not letting that happen again. Jordan Love said yesterday, though, and I'm reading this quote, he said, I don't even think we need to use that as motivation. I think this team is motivated enough, just the situation we have to get in the playoffs and how bad we want that. So I don't think if the Packers win, the reason is because of last season. But certainly that's not forgotten by anyone who was a part of that in the building.
So back in the Bears John Fox era, there was a day where John Fox got up to the podium and read off a name of a list of 20 plus names that were on the injury report, to the point that it was hilarious. And we still talk about it. And it was like, he could have named more players who weren't hurt, or less players. It would have been a shorter list if he just read the names of the guys that were healthy. When I got the injury report in my inbox yesterday, that's what I thought of when I looked at how many names were on this Packer injury report. But as we all know, sometimes the injury reports get flooded with names that are actually, you know, dudes that are just fine in week 18. They're dealing with bumps and bruises. Which are the important? Sort through this for us. Who's maybe actually in danger of not playing this week? You know, what pare this down to what really matters.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because that's been the Packers injury report the last couple weeks. And after every practice, Matt LaFleur gets up to the podium. And, you know, in past years, he's talked before practice, but this year he's talked after practice. So before taking any questions, he steps to the podium 4 days a week and reads off, well, not Monday, I guess, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he steps to the podium and reads off the injury report. So we do the same thing. I think last week I said, so who was practicing? And he kind of chuckled. But the DNPs yesterday, Preston Smith, Isaiah McDuffie, who had a concussion, missed a good chunk of the Vikings game. He's their third inside linebacker. He played because Devondre Campbell was hurt, but I still think he's better than Campbell. So I would say Preston Smith, Isaiah McDuffie, Rudy Ford, who is, you know, kind of their second or third safety, and then Elton Jenkins, who's been kind of getting a veteran rest day past couple weeks, and then he's still played, but he did pick up, I believe, an ankle injury in the game, so that's one to watch. And then the fifth one that did not practice was A.J. Dillon, who has played the last two games with a broken thumb and re-aggravated that injury on Sunday night. So I would say those 5 are ones to watch. There are a litany of guys who are limited, but I don't think that any of them are much of a concern because like Christian Watson hasn't played the last 4 games with a hamstring injury, but he practiced yesterday. They technically only had a walkthrough, but he was still on the field. Jaden Reed, who missed the second half of Sunday night's game, still up for NFL Rookie of the Week after only playing a half. He had 6 catches for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. Naperville native. And he practiced yesterday. Dontavian Wicks, who missed the entire game last Sunday, is playing. And then Luke Musgrave, who lacerated his kidney in week 11, hasn't played since. There's a chance he returns this Sunday. He's been limited the last couple weeks. So looks like he's going to go. Jair Alexander's on there as a full participant for the first time since God knows when. So he's going to play. And then Devondre Campbell, who hasn't played the last 2 games, their former All-Pro inside linebacker, he was estimated as a full participant. So I don't think that's as bad as it looks on the surface, but still a couple key guys that might be trending toward not playing.
Thank you, Matt LaFleur, for that update.
That's way too much talking for an injury report.
Yeah. All right, take us through Jordan Love's success. And we were talking about him a couple weeks ago where like some of his throws like literally seem to go through dudes, like just seem to have eyes of their own, but he's built upon the success, and the numbers don't lie. Like he's flirting with 4,000 yards passing. He's got 30 touchdown passes. Why is this real? Why should it be believed in? And maybe what concerns do you have about the future?
Right now, not many concerns with the way he's played the last, 2 months. Since week 9, he ranks 2nd in the NFL in touchdown to interception ratio behind Dak Prescott. Jordan Love has I believe it's 6.3 touchdown to interception ratio, and Matthew Stafford's in 3rd place with a ratio of 4. So him and Prescott are in kind of a league of their own. And then in EPA per dropback, he's tied for 2nd since week 9, behind only Brock Purdy. I think he's tied with Matthew Stafford. So Jordan Love's been playing exceptionally well. The thing that stuck out most to me is the different kinds of throws he's making. Has the deep ball, and when I say deep ball, I mean the real bombs downfield that we saw Aaron Rodgers hit with regularity. Those still need to be ironed out. So that's probably the biggest concern, if you even want to call it that. But throwing off balance, throwing off one foot, these sidearm throws, his accuracy has really improved. There was a throw he made. It was the first touchdown pass of Sunday night's game against the Vikings to Jaden Reed. I think it was like a 33-yard touchdown pass where he had dropped back almost like 15 yards. And the broadcast did a side-by-side of Jordan Love releasing the ball when both of his feet were off the ground. And the picture they put side-by-side with it was a picture of Brett Favre doing the same thing. So people can't help themselves when they're comparing Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers. I think Jordan Love's QBR, or passer rating, one of those, is literally the exact same to the exact decimal point as Aaron Rodgers through his first 16 games as a full-time starter. But he's remaining calm back there. He's throwing the ball with great accuracy. But part of the reason Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst didn't freak out in the middle of the season when he wasn't playing well and they were on a 4-game slide was because they said he's not getting enough from the guys around him. And I think just as we critiqued his supporting cast earlier in the season, we have to praise them now. His receivers are really catching the ball well. They had some issues with drops early in the season. Guys like, Romeo Doubs and Watson before he got hurt, and Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks are really playing well. And then the offensive line has stepped up. I mean, against the Vikings, I think there were 3 quarterback hits, no sacks. They ran for 4.5 yards a carry. It's kind of a mishmash of guys on the offensive line. They're rotating guys at right guard. Sometimes they're rotating guys at left tackle. Josh Myers and Elton Jenkins both got banged up. Like, everyone's just playing well, but Love certainly is carrying his weight.
So I think you just articulated the worst nightmare, worst possible situation for those who call, Hallis Hall home, who were kind of hoping that the Bears or the Packers didn't stumble across another, high-end quarterback. So maybe there's something they can learn from this. Like how much is his success maybe just being with the same system, being with the same coach for 4 years? This is his 4th year together, right? Like he's taken the Aaron Rodgers path of not playing for 3 years. Now he's playing in his 4th, but like How much does that come up? Like, how much has he mentioned that continuity, that connection with LaFleur and that, over the 4 years?
Sure. I think right now we're seeing how they're reaping the benefits of LaFleur and Love kind of figuring each other out in terms of what they want, what they don't want. I mean, this goes back a couple weeks, but when they played the Lions on Thanksgiving, LaFleur told a story, and the first play of that game, the Packers did something they rarely ever do, and they won the coin toss, and they chose to receive, which is very rare for them. First play of the game on Thanksgiving against the Lions, Love bombs it downfield to Christian Watson for 53 yards. They score on the opening drive, never trail in that game. Matt LaFleur says after the game that he texted Jordan Love on Thursday morning saying he wanted to change that play. He didn't want to take a shot because it's a long developing play. He didn't know if they'd have the checkdowns available. And Jordan Love said, no, we're keeping it. He responded to LaFleur's text saying, no, we're keeping it. And they kept it and hit it for 53 yards. So I say that to say this partnership, and Matt LaFleur said that Jordan has always been comfortable telling him no or telling him when he's wrong, something that Aaron Rodgers obviously might have been maybe infamous for, changing stuff that the head coach would do. But I think my point is we're seeing kind of this partnership evolve and grow and really come to fruition on the field. And whether that's Matt LaFleur's just drawing up really good plays for Jordan Love for easy completions, which there were a lot of those on Sunday night against the Vikings, to absolutely wide open guys, or whether it's just the trust between the two, where they're not afraid to tell the other when they're wrong or something like that. We're seeing it all kind of come together. And you might look at the Packers and say, well, they're 8-8. Yeah, but the offense, contrary to what we thought entering the season, has been by far and away the strong suit of this team, at least in the second half of the year.
I got two questions left for you. The first is, this Bears defense has not allowed more than 17 points.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. They've allowed 17 points or more. Let me start again. They have allowed more than 17 points 3 times only since they acquired Montez Sweat. So, I mean, it's really been the stable unit. However, all 3 of those times they did that, not surprisingly, they lost those games. Those are the 3 losses the Bears have since they acquired Montez Sweat. Those 3 games, the first week was against the Saints when they had Montez Sweat for like 3 days or whatever it was. And then the Lions collapse at the end. The Browns collapse at the end. So both of those games, all of a sudden the defense gave up a late touchdown, but they were playing with the lead for most of those games. This side of this matchup is the good on good. The Packers offense versus the Bears defense right now. What gives you the confidence that Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, maybe some weapons coming back here, it sounds like, can, be the 4th team that's able to score on this Bears defense since they acquired Montez Sweat and everything kind of changed?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Packers schedule right now, and they did not eclipse 20 points for 7 straight games from week 3 to week 10. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, the Packers have not scored less than 20 points. They hit 20 against the Buccaneers, lost 34-20. But in 6 of those 7 games, the Packers have eclipsed 20. So it's been complete night and day for the offense. The last 2 games, they've scored 33 and 33. They've only eclipsed 30 3 times this season, once obviously being in week 1. What gives me confidence is the way Aaron Jones is playing. Now, there are a couple things that make me say, okay, maybe the Packers offense can figure some things out against the Bears defense that's playing really well. But Aaron Jones has run for 120 yards in each of the last 2 games. He's been banged up all year. That hamstring injury he suffered against the Bears in week 1 stuck with him until like week 9. And then he sprained his MCL in week 11 and missed another 3 games. And he's run 21 times and 20 times the last 2 weeks for 6 yards a carry each week. I think Rob Domofsky pulled up a stat yesterday. No Packers running back in history, team's been around for over 100 years, has ever run for 120 yards in 3 consecutive games. So Aaron Jones has that at stake. That changes their offense when he's running like that. A.J. Dillon is serviceable, but Aaron Jones adds a different dynamic, and we saw it in week 1. If he's able to do that again, I think that not only allows the Packers to control the clock, to put points on the board, but it opens things up in the passing game. So more than anything, I think, yes, Jordan Love's playing really well, but the last 2 weeks, the biggest difference for the Packers offense has been Aaron Jones. So above anything else, that's what gives me optimism they can kind of continue this streak on Sunday.
How about the matchup on the other end? You know, Joe Barry's, you mentioned it earlier, his defense isn't playing well. They give up a lot of rushing yards, and you know the Bears are going to want to establish the run to help out Justin Fields. How do you see that playing out? And I guess how big are those concerns defensively?
Massive. It's a reason Joe Barry probably won't have a job here, you know, a couple days after whenever their season ends, unless it ends, you know, in Las Vegas in early February. And then he'd probably get an extension because they'd win the Super Bowl. But Joe Barry's defense has not been good. And it's not only this year, but the past 3 years. It's been mediocre given the talent he has at his disposal. The Packers haven't been able to stop the run consistently. They've given up over 200 rushing yards in, I think, 3 or 4 games. Then there were some other games, I think, like the Broncos, they only gave up 165, but allowed almost 6 yards a carry.
Only 165.
It was something like that. But the Packers have been able to stop the run since Brian Gutekunst took over as GM in 2018. I think they're last in the NFL in rush defense EPA per snap in that time. It dates even before 2018, but it's a huge concern because not only were the Bears a really good running team last year, and the Packers kind of held them in check week 1, but they're a really good running team this year too. And the Packers have struggled with teams like that this year. The Falcons, who ran for over 200. The Lions did it against them. The Steelers did it against them this year. I won't go as far to say they're soft up front, but they just don't have like a badass run-stuffing defensive lineman. They miss tackles. They get, you know, pushed off the ball. The pile pushes, you know, runners for a couple extra yards. And it's just, you don't have that tenacity, that grit up front. And if the Bears are able to get the running game going, the Packers could be in serious trouble.
So that's what leads me to this question, which might ultimately be the thing that decides where I'm leaning on this. How have the Packers been playing from behind this season? I mean, do they have examples of where they come back? Because basically the second half of the season, the Bears have been playing with a lead at every game, and the only games they've lost are when they can't hold on to the lead late. So to me, it's like if the Packers have that ability to come from behind, then I'll probably pick the Packers. But if not, I feel like it's almost a certainty the Bears will jump out to a lead in this game, and if they can hold on to that lead, then they're probably just going to win.
Yeah, on that point, I wonder if the Packers win the toss if they receive, just to like set the tone to make sure they don't fall behind. I wouldn't be surprised to get the crowd on their side early, I guess.
Teams have been doing that against the Bears the last couple of weeks. All of a sudden it shifted the last couple of weeks. They've been doing that.
So they can't just pin their ears back and rush the passer with Sweat and those guys, which I understand. I'm trying to remember. They led against the Giants and then gave up that, you know, final touchdown drive. The Buccaneers, they were kind of trailing that whole game, I think. I don't think there's really been one where they got out to or they came from behind to win. You know, the Panthers, they were winning the whole game. They almost blew that one. Vikings, they were winning the whole game. Chiefs, Lions, Chargers, kind of the same thing. The one time we've really seen it this year was in week 3. That was a long time ago when they were down 17-0 with 11 minutes left and came back and beat the Saints. Other than that, the Packers have been pretty much in most games. The only I think they only have 2 double-digit losses 3 double-digit losses this year to the Lions in week 4, the Vikings in week 8, and the Buccaneers in week 15. Other than that, the Packers have, you know, been in pretty much every game. So can they play from behind? They can, but they haven't had to do it too often, at least not, you know, sizable deficits.
Last question for me. Who is handling the coin toss for the Packers this week?
You know, it's funny because Jair Alexander spoke yesterday and was very remorseful coming off his suspension. And a TV reporter asked him, do you think you should be a captain this week, or like maybe to mend some fences? And we all were like, oh my God, how can you ask that? But I don't know. It'll be interesting. that was a wild, wild story to cover for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on this week of practice, since they elect their 3 game captains the morning of the game. This is the first year under Matt LaFleur that they haven't done season-long captains that the players vote on before the season. LaFleur wanted to, give some more guys voices, especially with how different this team looks. So I don't know who it's going to be, but only 3 guys are going to be elected, and the Packers better hope it's only 3 guys that walk out for the coin toss.
That is one of my favorite,
it's
insane. That's up there. I don't know if you know the story about the Chris Sales story where he went through the White Sox locker room and cut up all the throwback jerseys. Remember that with scissors?
That was unbelievable.
Oh, I remember hearing
that's how, just in terms of insane, stories. That's in that category for me.
Yeah, it was insane because, I've now covered Jair for the last 5 years, and he's always been kind of a different cat. And I think he thought he was just being, I don't know, funny, but the team had to step in. I think they did the right thing. But yeah, that was a wild story.
So what was so that story didn't really blow up until 48 hours after it happened. I don't know if that was just because it was Chris, at least nationally. I mean, you were there in the locker room. It was your video that went viral, right? I'm pretty sure. And it didn't really go viral until the suspension came down, I think on Tuesday of that week. And I was watching this and I was like, how is this not a bigger deal for the last 48 hours? This is first of all, it's hilarious. And second, just the way he kept being I don't know why I wasn't the captain. It was the whole time, I think this is why you're not the captain. This seems to be you're not even understanding the coin toss operation here.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And interestingly enough, so in 2021, the players voted Jair as one of the defense's 3 captains, I think, along with Adrian Amos and Kenny Clark. And then 2022, they voted Devondre Campbell, Adrian Amos, and Kenny Clark. And Jair came out and said that he said to reporters that he took offense to not being named captain by his teammates. But then he went and made second-team All-Pro last year. So, water under the bridge. But it was just absolutely bizarre because, like you said, it happened, and I was sitting in the press box on Christmas Eve in Carolina, and he walked out there, and I literally said out loud to the people sitting around me, I was like, I don't think he's supposed to be out there. He wasn't one of them. I knew Jair was from Charlotte, but I deleted my tweet saying, I think Jair just went out there by himself because I thought, okay, maybe, sometimes if guys are from the city or they're playing a former team, the coach will make them an honorary captain. So I thought that was possible. So after the game, that was the video when we had that chat with Jair, and it was so ridiculous that you almost have to chuckle at it. But yeah, I think it maybe didn't blow up because it was Christmas Eve. People had better things to do. The Packers won, so that kind of swept all of it under the rug. But once he got suspended, people were like, I retweeted the video and saying for context on why he was suspended, because the Schefters and the Rappaports tweeted, Brian Gutekunst says it's for conduct detrimental to the team, as if they didn't know why. So I was like, well, we know why. Let me resurface this video. Here's exactly why he was suspended. So then it kind of took off and McAfee grabbed it. But yeah, we saw a completely different Jair Alexander yesterday speaking with us. And you remember after week 1, Jair took a shot at DJ Moore in his post-game press conference. Yesterday, he was asked about DJ Moore and just complimented him. So maybe he doesn't want to get ahead of his skis here this week.
Yeah, too many headlines or bulletin board material.
Yeah.
All right, you said what, 27-21? Was that your prediction? Are you sticking with it?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
All right. There it is. Make sure you're following Matt on Twitter at Matt Schneidman. He always seems to find a way into the national news with that Twitter account of his. It's a lot of fun. Also, you should be, if you want to check him out. I always like to sample opposing radio, so I'm all about this. Nightly show on the game across the state of Wisconsin, which is new this year. So he's got that going too. What it started, is it 6 to 7 every night?
6 to 7, Monday through Friday. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to be tuning in.
There you go.
I like it. All right. Thanks, Matt. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure.
So just kind of bringing this full circle, we got those. I'd kind of forgotten, Johns, about what Jair Alexander had said about DJ Moore. And Moore only had 2 catches on 2 targets in that first game back in week 1 against the Packers. Then you add in this Pro Bowl snub. I would think DJ Moore would be a highly motivated fellow this week.
Yeah, a great matchup to watch. Alexander has been known to follow top receivers, and Moore played a little bit more in the slot the other day. So with Darnell Mooney out, so I like that there seems to be like so many things have changed since week 1 with this offense. There was a backup quarterback who played for a bit, but one thing I think that Luke Getsy has actually done well. Yes, I'm complimenting Luke Getsy. It hasn't been perfect every week, but the production is there. Look, he's found ways to make DJ Moore, again, a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver with new career highs in touchdowns and receiving yards.
Last week, the game against the Falcons was Luke Getsy's best game of the season, in my opinion, both in terms of design, play calling, setting plays up off of other plays, and yes, it
against
also,
the good Falcons defense.
That's what I mean, against a good Falcons defense. Now, my only concern, because you cannot say, oh, they didn't play any, it's a crappy defense. You can't say that. What you can say is they did play a man-heavy defense, and that has always sort of played in the hands of the Bears and Justin Fields in particular. So now what does it look like this week? The Packers sit in more zone and that type of adjustment. Now, granted, their passing defense has been awful, as we just talked about with Matt. So I still think there should be plenty of –
has been brutal.
Yeah. I mean, the Bears should be able to score this week, and that's why I think it's a good measuring test to end the season, because if there are struggles in this game offensively – I don't know. It's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth, I think, going into the offseason. But let's get to our 3 big questions there, Johns.
Number 1, have we been wrong about Jordan Love?
So far, we've been wrong.
Yeah, we've been wrong.
I hate to say it. No, but we take great pride in this podcast when admitting we are wrong. And so far, the jury's not done, but we've been wrong this season, especially as of late. Love's been legitimately good.
The numbers are what they are. Like, we kind of made light of what he did a couple weeks ago. Again, like we talked with Matt, like some of his throws, there was some luck involved. But you know what? It's all added up into, like, sometimes you need a little bit of luck. Truthfully, we've seen that play out here and in other spots. He's going to hit 4,000 passing yards. Something that Justin Fields discussed before the season, something a Bears quarterback has never done. That's just the hard reality of this. And, I don't know if he's going to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback for the rest of his career, but this season has been a breakout year for Jordan Love.
That stat that Matt mentioned is an easy stat to troll Bears fans with, but it also is pretty damn telling that in the first year as a starter, Jordan Love has more passing yards and more touchdowns than any Bears quarterback has ever had in a single season in the entire history of the Chicago Bears franchise.
Yeah, with the supporting cast, that's not exactly what Patrick Mahomes started with in Kansas City, for example.
No, but I will say that is an area of the Packers I give them a lot of credit. They have done a good job drafting these young guys. They're young.
They've invested in it.
But they put a lot of guys out there, and it doesn't seem to matter if it's Bo Melton all of a sudden out there. They're making plays. And Christian Watson coming back this week potentially is a big deal. Jaden Reed. It's been honestly frustrating seeing Jaden Reed be as good as he has been, because we spent a lot of time talking about Jaden Reed before the draft and his local connections to Chicago. And the Packers got him, and he's been a legitimate weapon for them. So
he's their leading receiver.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Patrick Mahomes would love to have this group of weapons. Luke Musgrave, who might come back this week, he was having he became an important part of that offense before he got hurt. Now, that injury he had was scary. He ended up in the hospital with internal bleeding. I forget if it was spleen or liver. I think it was the liver.
Matt said kidney.
Kidney. Yeah. And so it's. And they've been out, and they've still been moving the football. So, yeah. Good job, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
We were wrong so far.
It's a young sporting cast that could potentially grow with a young quarterback, which is something we've seen well, bear fruit in Green Bay before. All right, number 2.
Way to make everyone listening to this podcast vomit.
Have we been wrong about Justin Fields?
Okay, I need more context to this question, so I'm going to let you answer it first.
Have we been, I guess, overly critical? Are we looking at the wrong stats? Are we ignoring potential growth? Andrew Janocko the other day mentioned metrics in terms of sack rate, and I looked them up. The sack rate does show growth. They have declined for Justin Fields. The interception,
still third to last.
Yes, yeah. But if you're breaking up seasons,
it's gotten better.
Like, let's not go this 17 games and this 17 games. Just look at this season.
Mm-hmm.
Second half of the season, the sack rate is down. Interception rate is kind of misleading because he did have those 2 Hail Mary interceptions. I guess let's rephrase it. What do you want to see from Justin Fields this week? Because I think this game is more than important for him. He is 0-5 against the Packers. I'm not going to list the stats. I've given it too many on this podcast, but they are not good against the Packers in his career. They are not good at all. 0-5 against the Packers in 3 years. Like, this is a playoff game times 10 for Justin Fields. I know they're trying just to make it another game, but it's not. It cannot be for Justin Fields.
And I think that to answer that question, I would say no, we have not been wrong about Justin Fields. I think we have called it how we've seen it. And the reality is earlier in the season, he was not good. Now, don't ask me why. Well, you can't ask me why. Little teaser, I'm working on something. But I was watching the Chiefs game back last night. Yes, it was horrible and painful.
What are you doing to yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question.
You mentioned you were sick this morning. Now I know why.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, like, the stuff that happened earlier in the year still matters. Right? Like, I'm okay waiting the second half of the season more. Sure, it's progress. We've seen that, and I think we've said that. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think we've been wrong because he was bad. Now he's been better, and we've said that every week. The sack rate's gotten better. He's not turning the ball over as much, which is huge. He's consistently, getting to that 200-yard mark that the 200 thing that Flus brought up.
2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks.
Yeah. So he's mostly been getting there. But that emphasis has changed things for the better. But I don't know that it might still be too little, too late. I don't know.
I think one good way to put this is the Bears right now are looking for Justin Fields to play complementary football to what is an outstanding defense. Yes, he could still wow you with some of the plays he can make, like that scramble. Only a few. He's the only one who can make a play like that. Maybe Lamar Jackson's the other one, right? Josh Allen, maybe, right? Like, that is wow-like plays. Like, he has that in his arsenal. But where the Bears are right now, not taking sacks, not turning the ball away, converting third downs, like especially third and manageables, staying on the field, helping your defense, playing complementary football. That's what the Bears are looking for right now because their defense is one of the best. One of the best going in the league right now. You're sure the pass rush could be better, but all the stats say, everything says that the Bears defense is playing like one of the best right now.
Well, and that's what I think is important about going back on when I bring up watching the Chiefs game. That game was a mess. The scheme was terrible. They're playing from way behind the entire time. Like, what do you expect Justin Fields to do? And actually, until like late in the second half, he wasn't terrible. So, but that's also part of this equation. They've also been playing with a lead. The defense has been awesome. And Montez Sweat's here. Like, that has an effect on the quarterback play as well because of the situation the offense has been in. So I'm really intrigued to see not only how Justin Fields plays in this environment against a rival he has quite frankly struggled against, but also just the flow of the game. Are they playing with a lead? Are they playing from behind? Can he overcome that if they're playing from behind, because that's still something we kind of need to see more of, quite frankly.
Number 3. This is from Maddie on Twitter. This is something we mentioned, or you mentioned to him on Twitter or X that we get to. This is a question. Yes. So from Maddie on Twitter, would love to know what your favorite part of covering the Bears is. You've both covered the Bears for a while. Haven't seen a lot of success. But despite that, it seems like you both love your job and the team. There's definitely days where I don't love covering this team. That's just the hard truth. My favorite part of the job, and I've said this a few times, is like the 5 minutes leading up to kickoff, where you're just sitting there waiting for the game. And like this Sunday is going to be, this may sound romantic, but it's going to be a bit magical. Bears, Packers, Lambeau Field, late afternoon game, playoff-like atmosphere, playoff implications. That is fantastic. Like, I love covering meaningful football games. You know, it's a dream job. Yeah, I'm not going to annoy everyone with some of the annoyances we have with this job sometimes. But it's a dream job, and you feel that. I feel that before every kickoff of every game I cover.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, for me, I mean, it sounds simple, but it's just the fact that it's football. I mean, like John just said, there are plenty of annoyances. There's plenty, like any job that anybody has, there are downsides. But it's sometimes you do have to pinch yourself, being like, okay, yeah, but this is football, and you love football. And I think people listen to this show over the years and understand how much we both love football, all levels of it. And so, yeah, really just to be able to, like, if I didn't have this job, I'd probably still be doing a lot of same stuff I'm doing just because of how much I love football. So, like watching videos of players and maybe blogging about it or something like that, just as a side hobby, because that's what I'm passionate about. And so to be able to call that a job full time is what's incredible. The other part of that answer I'd give you, though, that's kind of off of that, is just like, and this is the one thing I really miss about not traveling, is just the times on the road that we have. You know, the nights before games sometimes. Like a few weeks ago, we brought up Michael C. Wright and the stories he was telling in Cleveland a while back before that big Jay Cutler game, before he got his contract. Just nights like that on the road, usually the night before games, sometimes dinner after the games. But just like, there's a lot of stories that could be told about road shenanigans and things like that.
A week spent in Indianapolis for the combine.
yeah. And that part, and the Super Bowl, I still get to experience. But yeah, the traveling part of it and being able to see all the different stadiums across the league and
different cities.
I have always enjoyed the road games more than the home games. Part of that's just, again, people don't want to hear annoyances, but it's been well documented at this point. Like the Soldier Field press box isn't the greatest. And so just in terms of comfort and getting the job done, and also just the sort of the fun part of seeing all the stadiums, like I've always enjoyed the road aspect of it.
Yeah. One thing about this podcast, I think we've always tried to have fun with it. And I think that's important because football is supposed to be fun. And to your point about our love of football, I hope that's always conveyed. You know, like you and I might be slightly obsessed with the sport. I coach high school football. I coach grade school football. I have 3 sons who play football. It's on nonstop in my house. I played football. My brothers played football. Like I can't get enough of it. Like I love learning more about football. Like having conversations with different coaches over the years. That's part of my favorite part, you know, learning some more of the X's and O's, different strategies, different coaching techniques, you know, even just from the basics of tackling, how it's taught differently, to different coverage and just different language of coverage and scheme and all that stuff. So we love it, and we hope it comes through on the show on a daily basis.
Well, thanks for that question. That was I appreciate the question. Appreciate, you know, everybody that listens and watches the show. it gets to consume, hopefully that passion does come across. Let's get to over-unders for this game and then get to our picks.
From Avery, over-under a number of dedicated graphics regarding Fields in the #1 overall pick debate, 2.5. Over.
You think over?
Like, you could go so many different ways with this graphic, too. Just as long as it's mentioned.
See, I think there'll be one graphic obviously mentioning that they have the #1 pick, and you might you'll have a graphic with maybe Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields.
You'll get
I don't know that it'll be 3 of those though. There'll be another graphic comparing Justin Fields to Jordan Love. If you want to change this to graphics where they're comparing Justin Fields to something, I would take the over. But I think specifically with the #1 pick, I'm going to go under.
I'm going over. Over. Too much of a storyline. CBS has their #1 team on this. They're going to go all out.
Yeah, that is true. This is a Jim Nance, Tony Romo game.
To your point, from AJ, over under on the number of times showing Justin Fields and Jordan Love career stats, 2.5. You're definitely getting. I'm gonna go over again.
Yeah, I'll take the over on this one too because they could, split it up into different things.
This is from D1. Over under times Aaron Rodgers is mentioned, 4.5. Now, Aaron Rodgers did talk some trash on the Pat McAfee show about the Bears, this being their Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, you're gonna get that quote right off the bat.
You're gonna have Aaron Rodgers in the context of just talking about Jordan Love at some point. You're gonna get Aaron Rodgers in terms of what he said this week. You're gonna get Aaron Rodgers in terms of his domination of this rivalry. Yeah, I think they might even mention how he referred to the Packers as us this week. By the way, quick note on that. My initial reaction was the same as a lot of people had when they first saw that. It was like, yo, you're not on the Packers anymore. You're a Jet. But then I thought about it a little bit more. If you own every passing record and you're pretty much the best quarterback in a franchise history, that includes Brett Favre and Bart Starr, you get to say us for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. He's a Packer for life. So I'm okay with it.
So over. D1 over. Alex, over under a miss roughing the passer calls on JF1, 2.5. I'm going to expand this. There's just late hits, contact to the head on a slide. I'm going over, and I know this is a sensitive point for you because you're tracking these now.
I don't know if it's up yet. I'd have to check. I went on CHGO yesterday. It wasn't even a rant. It was like a monologue. And I think it's getting posted separately. I'm really curious. I don't even know. I don't think it's up yet. I wanted to know how long it actually was. 5 to 7 minutes. This one wasn't even about Fields, though. This was about
the officials.
The officials and that awful video they sent out the other day where they just take zero accountability. It's just so frustrating. To answer the question, though, I'm going to take the under, surprisingly. I think that, it's usually 1 or 2 every game. If it gets to 3 and there's no flags, then I will actually lose my mind. There will be no post-game show. I will probably not be alive.
Let me text Kevin Fishbane and get ready here.
Yeah, just get him on standby for Sunday's show because I'm going to lose it.
All right, from Politically Homeless, Justin Fields doing the Aaron Rodgers Politically Homeless.
Okay.
Hey, I'm just reading off.
Does that mean he's an independent?
He's an independent.
Okay.
Libertarian, maybe. No,
okay.
That means he would have some political home.
Yeah.
All right. Justin Fields. I like this one. That's why I put it in. Justin Fields doing the Aaron Rodgers belt celebration in the end half.
That would be badass.
It would be.
I'm going to say under. But if this somehow gets back to Justin, do it.
Yes, do it.
Do it.
Here's the hypothetical I'll give you, the visual. It's like the late 4th quarter touchdown that the Bears score to put the game away. That maybe Field scrambles in, runs in, maybe another QB draw in the end zone.
Yeah.
To the fans. No Lambeau leaping. Just double checking.
You know, Aaron Rodgers' approval rating is so low right now, including in that town, that they might even have a level of respect for Justin Fields doing that if he did it. That's a good one. I like that.
All right, last one. This is from David. Voicemails left on the hotline, 24.5. This is Packers week, David. This is hitting
that's
100.
way over. Yeah, we have. In fact, Kent, make sure you clean out the. I don't know if we still have that problem where it gets full
fast.
But we've had that happen. I remember the Mike Glennon game in Green Bay. That I think we had over 100, and the thing was full, and people were getting busy signals when they called in. So, yeah, that one was too low. 24.5. It'll go way over. Way over. All right, here we go. Fox 325. Bears at Packers. Packers a 3-point favorite.
Bold predictions.
Cole. Oh, I can't do Cole Kmet touchdown.
No, did you see what happened the other day? I forgot to tell you about this.
Go on.
Cole said on CHGO that we are no longer allowed to pick him to score a touchdown.
Okay.
Because I did it last week, and he played 13 snaps. Now, obviously, I blame him a little bit. He should have told me he was only going to play 13 snaps, and then I wouldn't have told everybody to, play him in fantasy and lose their fantasy championships. So yeah, we've never had this happen, but if a player, I think there should be a rule that if a player on the record says that we are not allowed to pick them, we can't. It's off the table.
Eddie Jackson, pick 6.
Ooh. That leads me to something. I've been trying to advocate for Eddie Jackson for a long time now. He really wants to return a punt. This could be his last game as a Bear.
Doesn't have to be, though.
It doesn't have to be, but I'm just saying it could be. It could be. It could be. So Richard Hightower, Matt Eberflus, do the right thing. Let Eddie Jackson return a punt in this game. By the way, that's not my bold prediction because I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be pretty awesome. It's like the Bears are getting much out of their punt return game anyway. Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
What's your bold prediction? What do you got?
My bold prediction for this game is that the Bears is 3 takeaways enough for, that's pretty bold. 3 takeaways in the game.
2 picks and a fumble?
Something like that.
Okay.
1, 2 fumbles, and it could be on special teams too.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, can I change this? Because I forgot I was actually going to do this one earlier. Special teams one. The Bears fake something. Bears fake a punt. Bears fake a field goal.
You're just calling the fake.
There's a fake that happens.
We got some things up our sleeve. So
what's up the sleeve?
They finally run that.
What's up your sleeve? Or
I don't know. What's up yours?
They finally run that fade to Cairo Santos.
Yeah. See that, but and Flus didn't want to talk about that play this week.
Like, I would love to see what's actually like. There's like a quick slant somewhere, maybe the opposite side of the field, but
that counts, by the way.
That
if Cairo Santos catches a touchdown, that counts as a fake.
Catches a touchdown, like I'm sure the Bears won by a lot.
Tricky special teams play is my bold prediction.
All right, here is my prediction.
Okay.
I'm going to go. I like the matchup of the Bears run game, especially after what they did against the Falcons, against the Packers. Khalil Herbert looks healthy. Justin Fields will have a couple design runs himself. They'll have their option plays as always. I like that matchup. I like the Bears' chances against Jordan Love too. I really do. They may be drinking some Kool-Aid right now. But the Packers themselves, Matt LaFleur said himself, the Bears are the most improved team since week 1, and I am buying what he's selling as well. So here's my prediction. I've been in this range the entire year. I'm going to say 23. Let's go 26-20. 26-20. Yep, that's it. 26-20 Bears.
All right. I think that 20 is sort of that magic number. We were talking about it with Schneidman too. It's where the Packers have had to get to win games, and the Bears have been trying to stay under defensively, and they've won the games that they've done that. So look, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I as a big answer to that last question I asked Matt earlier. You know, what's the Packers' ability to play from behind? Because I feel like this is the playbook's been there. Bears start hot offensively. Their scripts are good early. They get out to a lead. Justin's better when they play with the lead. They can obviously pass rush better. On defense, when they have a lead and they force more takeaways. I mean, that's complementary football. That's the name of the game. And the Bears have done that consistently here. It's just they've given up the leads late in the games that they've lost. So the fact that, like, when Matt said Aaron Jones can reach 100 yards, the Bears' run defense is too good. I don't think he gets there in this game, and that's another thing I like about the Bears. The Bears' defense to me is the best unit on the field, and they're going to give them a chance to win again. My pick here is based strictly on principle and a vow I made to myself in week 1, because I spent all offseason telling myself I was not going to pick the Bears to beat the Packers, and then I did it. And I look like an idiot yet again. And I would hate to go look up how many times in the last 5 years I've actually picked the Bears to win this game when they never win it. So, despite everything telling me from a matchup standpoint that the Bears will win, I'm taking the Packers. And that number 20 is the magic number. Packers 20, Bears 19.
Wow.
In a heartbreaker.
I think you're going to see Justin Fields do everything he can to win this one. Just going off what we said earlier. 0-5 against the Packers. Playoff-like game for him and his opponent. Like, this is everything. Like, you beat the Packers, damn right you're coming back in 2024. There's no conversation.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there might still be a conversation, but certainly makes it harder to move on from Justin Fields if he dominates Green Bay. And then the opposite's true too. I feel like it's way easier to move on if it's another, because all those things you brought up earlier about how his numbers against the Packers and hasn't beaten them, like, that matters. You got to beat the Packers.
Yes.
Same thing for Flus and everyone else involved. You got to beat the Packers.
Can't take the North without beating the Packers.
Yeah. So, all right, there it is. You can boo me. I'm sure people will be upset about it, but I'm just not falling into. I'd rather be wrong with the Bears winning than the opposite way, if that makes sense. So maybe that's playing not to lose or whatever, but fine.
Do your research.
Yeah, Vic. Saturday, ESPN, ABC. This is the night game, the division on the line in the AFC South. Guaranteed playoff spot, right? Well, it doesn't decide the division, but I'm pretty sure the Texans-Colts winner gets in 7-15. The Colts the Colts are home dog. Lucas Oil Stadium, 1 point dog against the Texans.
I got the Colts kind of winning outright.
Okay. Think so?
Yeah. I mean, these are two teams coached by, in my opinion, like coach of the year candidates as well.
Yeah.
Just doing outstanding jobs. Give me the Colts and them earning that for the final playoff spot.
When we saw the Colts in August, when they practiced against the Bears, I did not expect them to be in this position. So shout out to Shane Steichen and what they've done. I'm going to take the Texans here, though. I think C.J. Stroud, better quarterback on the field. And I just like their overall vibe. So I'm going to take the Texans in a game I would probably otherwise stay away from.
If we win this game tonight, Adam Hoge will be rhetorically dancing with his verbiage. 2 outs. Here's Luke Voigt pinch batting.
R.I.P. Ed Farmer. Fox 325. Cowboys at Commanders. Commanders 13-point home dogs here.
I only put this one in because, I mean, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks starting this week. Like Matthew Stafford's not playing. I didn't even know Carson Wentz is still in the league. Shame on me. He's starting for the Rams. But the Commanders, this is in terms of like draft scenarios. Like, I think you want to keep the Commanders an option to trade up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So what they do this week, carries some weight.
The Cowboys need this game to get the 2 seed.
They're going to destroy them.
The Commanders need to lose to get the 2 pick. I'm almost surprised this isn't higher. I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, I just think that's smart.
I'd like to see him get his hands on more balls.
Fox noon. Vikings at Lions. There is still a scenario where the Vikings can get in the playoffs. I think it's a miracle situation. Lions -3.5 at home here.
Give me the Lions by a touchdown.
Yeah, the Vikings QB situations gotten rough. These 2 teams played a couple weeks ago. The only thing is that, wait, is the Cowboys? What time's the Cowboys? No, the Cowboys play later. Okay, so the Lions will have to win this game. It's not like they can scoreboard watch and pull starters because they have nothing else to play for. So yeah, the Lions got to. Okay, yeah, I'm going to take the Lions. Let's take the Lions to cover. Yeah, the timing of these games matters with some of these.
How's everyone doing? This is Nick Foles. Just entered the meeting.
Fox 325. Seahawks at Cardinals. Cardinals are only a 2.5-point underdog in this game against the Seahawks, who need to win and hope the Bears beat the Packers.
Yeah, this is the scoreboard watching one for the Green Bay, right? I'm sure things are going well. They'll show highlights of this one. Part of me wants to take the Cardinals in the points on this one, though. I like their come from behind win against the Eagles. I don't know if the Seahawks are particularly that good. Give me the Cardinals in the points.
I agree with you. To me, this is the wacky Week 18 team that actually needs to lose to help their draft position wins game. So there's always that game. So I'm going to take the Cardinals, and it would not surprise me if they went outright here in this one.
Same.
Adam Johns, go ahead.
Finally, NBC Sunday night, 7:20, Bills at Dolphins to decide the AFC East. The Bills scenarios go from having the 2 seed to being out of the playoffs, which is wild. Now, some of that will be determined before this game even gets played. So the Bills could be in the playoffs, but the division will be on the line. It's a big game. The Dolphins have a lot of injuries all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden. They've been dealing with them for a while, but Bradley Chubb's now out with a torn ACL too. The Bills really need this one. So the Dolphins are 3-point dogs at home.
I say that scenario again.
So the Bills can be the 2 seed with a win and some other things, or they could be out of the playoffs.
Oh, if they lose, right?
If they lose.
10-7.
Yeah, they're not guaranteed. And that would require the Steelers to win on Saturday, but the Ravens are starting Tyler Huntley. So the Steelers could win, probably should win. It's a lot of things that will determine that. Pretty wild.
Yeah, give me the Bills. Give me the Bills.
Okay, I'm going to take the Dolphins because they're getting 3. Dolphins have bounced back from bad games before this season, and there's so much talent on offense. Just getting the 3, I'm taking the Dolphins. But, yeah, it would obviously not surprise me. This should be a good game. The 2 best games, in my opinion, this weekend are Bills, Dolphins, and Bears, Packers. And I don't even think it's close. So, should be a fun weekend of football.
Football, baby. Football.
football. All right. This is a longer episode, but Bears Packers calls for it.
Did you have like some type of fun fact shared with us that you wanted to put up?
Oh,
there?
Kent had a tweet he saw. That was the last. Someone pointed out, and I didn't see this, but Kent brought it up, that the last 4 teams the Bears beat spelled out Adam. But I think it's the cities. So it's Arizona. Here we go. It's got a @Chief Hawks fan. The Chicago Bears' last 4 wins. Atlanta, Detroit, Arizona, Minnesota. Coincidence or not? It spells out Adam.
Definitely not a coincidence.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a stretch because that's not the order the wins came in, but I appreciate the... I don't think it is a coincidence. I think it's 100% real.
So how do you... Where would you put in... If you put the G...
I know I was going to say, is this
God
mean they're
damn.
going to lose?
Goddamn.
I don't know if this...
That'd be a win, Adam. That'd be a win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, John says the Bears winning. I'm going Packers. Don't feel great about it. More out of principle. But if you want to play the Bears +3, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Should be a good game. Especially if that goes to 3.5. Then I really like it. We'll see if it does. All right. Appreciate everybody watching, listening. Please hit subscribe on YouTube. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. Really appreciate you helping us grow the channel. Thanks for everyone in the responses to the Josh Lucas episode as well on Tuesday. That was a good one, and we really appreciate all the responses we've gotten on that as well. Check out HogeJahns.com. All the merch, including that shirt Johns is wearing, the shirt I'm wearing today with the walking bear. In Adam we trust. Hopefully they trust you more than me this week with your Bears-Packer pick. We'll see how it all goes.
Probably.
We will be with you after the game one last time for this season. And maybe we'll be talking about a big Bears win over the Packers. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
See ya.